And why Melbourne is so special and it's got the shuffle and the other cities hasn't is that we've kind of nurtured it and we've sort of developed it and we've kind of created that scene and kind of held with it and sort of run with it and continued to push it. Like, you know, Melbourne is still, it's got a rave scene because of people like myself and Brad and those guys that do Pharmacy and Midro and all those types of people that do Base Station and the guys from Hard Candy. Like, we've kept like that kind of whole spirit kind of alive and keep promoting those sorts of gigs and doing these sorts of shows. And although our music styles are different, the philosophies are still there, the fashion, there's still that closeness that people have to the scene, that no matter what music style you're listening to, there's still this vibe and this kind of magic kind of thing that everyone can kind of connect with, which is the rave scene sort of thing.
If people don't know that we've got a dance scene in this country, not even in this country, in this one city, all right, there's no shufflers anywhere else, nowhere else in the world.
It's very much a Melbourne thing, and as I said before, it's pretty weird for us to jump in a car and just drive to Sydney and go, hang on a minute, it's completely different here. It's only like up the road, you know.
It's very different to quite a lot of the other dances around. For example, Sydney, I went to Sydney a little while back and listened to some dance music there, but all they seem to do is just mosh. The Melbourne Shuffle is like a one-of-a-kind dance. It's gold.
I've been around the world and I've seen people, I've seen how they move, how they groove. There is nothing like it in the world. It is Melbourne. It's fantastic.
I've been to Melbourne quite a few times now. I've played massive raves down to really intimate parties, and you know, kind of the people are so friendly.
When I get to Melbourne, first I love the city. I've been there this afternoon and I love the city, and then tonight I got here and I really love the crowd because I really got the rave feeling.
Yeah, it just rocks, man.
Then you have things like the Melbourne Shuffle that just blow things out of proportion. I think one thing that might be unique about the Melbourne Shuffle is the fact that, you know, it's such an explosive burst of energy. And, you know, like I said before, you know, Melbourne is kind of a conservative place. Maybe it's just the calling cards for places that aren't that out there, you know, visibly, that they have a release valve like that.
It's definitely received more attention in the last year than it ever has over the last decade. It's become internationally very popular and unique, and it's become quite a draw card for internationals who all want to see this amazing thing called the shuffle, which they all ask about. And we're quite lucky to have this unique dance associated with our scene because it's given us something really special and unique in the world, and there's nothing greater than having a full room of people who are just shuffling and just absolutely going off and having a great time. It's really rewarding.
Everyone together out there, you know, they communicate in ways without words. Like, they can have 4 people in like a square metre and they're just jumping around like fools, but still no one cops any like harsh elbow to the face or kick to the knee. It's just like talking without words, like I said. I think Melbourne's dancers put a lot of effort into it because dancing's really looked upon in our rave scene as like, there's t-shirts, shuffle, Melbourne shuffle, we're renowned for this shuffle, so I think people feel that they do have to shuffle or get out there and dance more than they would in another environment where these words aren't around and where people don't dance as much.
In my opinion, I think the shuffle's about dancing well. It used to be that you'd go out and you'd dance any way you liked, but now it's become, I think, very important for a lot of kids to dance the Melbourne Shuffle, and there are different variations of the shuffle from what we've seen, but it's still very much about the basic dance move and how they perform it and how well they perform it.
I'd definitely call it rocking. Shuffling I see more as a specific way of dancing, when rocking is just letting everything out and having a lot of fun.
Yeah, just going out for rock has always been a part of going out having it. It's like the Prodigy Smack My Bitch Up was about, you know, going out for rock, the music, just make it smack my bitch up. It wasn't about women and all the politics that we got from it. It was about the music, you know. So yeah, everyone has their own little sayings and little words for everything. It's where you grow up.
The rave scene and shuffling is not one man, not 100 men, not 5 moves or 1,000 tricks. It's not anything that anyone can put in a bottle and say this is what it is, because it's underground. All right, people see these big raves and they see footage from these big raves, and what do they see? The camera's right there. You see 2,000 people doing this. That's all you see, or 2,000 people doing these ones.
It's never really been promoted or pushed the way a DJ or a dance event has, so for it to become as big as it has today is really, I think, quite monumental and quite phenomenal for our shufflers.
There's no inspiration unless if you're watching video hits or MTV type, you know, stuff. There ain't no ravers on there. There ain't no ravers anywhere. Unless you go to a rave, people are copying off each other. It's just what they do. They look at someone and they go, "Oh shit, I wish I could dance like that." And they try. They go, "Oh, okay, well, I'll just try and copy." You'll never get it. You'll never get it because you have to be on that guy's wavelength. You know, even if your best mate is the guy you want to try and copy off, you ain't going to get that. So what you do is you try and you come up with something new, which is different, which is your own, and you know, basically it becomes unique. Then other people start copying, and the whole bloody scene copies off each other. That's why you get so many similar styles, but they're not exactly the same. Because I've never to this day seen rave done in sync. I've never seen two ravers go, "Okay, this is exactly the moves I'm going to do." It's just too freestyle for that.
Yes, that's correct. No two ravers dance the same. Melbourne Shuffle is a specific step. It's a very simple step. It looks quite complicated, but when you actually sit down and watch someone, it's just a matter of just shuffling your feet in a particular way. And then once you've learnt that, then you can cater to your own technique and whatever you've learnt. Sometimes you copy off someone else's move, or sometimes you come up with something else. But it's a very basic step that can be evolved.
Yeah, there's definitely a spiritual side of dancing. Some people take it to a bigger level than others. Some don't even feel it, but definitely when I'm out there, sometimes an hour can go like 15 minutes and I've just got a massive smile on my face and I'm in cloud nine.
But when I'm out there dancing, I don't feel my lungs. I don't feel the pain. I don't feel the anguish. Not until the bass beat stops and you go into shock.
It's very euphoric, but at the same time it's very relaxing.
The best thing about dancing, I reckon, is just the moment, being there, being with everyone, just as the beat stops, looking around and seeing everyone else focused on the DJ, waiting for the next beat to kick in, just losing yourself kind of, or just having fun, jumping around like an idiot.
You stop thinking. It's similar to how I feel on a DJ now. You can go to start DJing or dancing with all the whole world on your shoulders. As soon as you got a groove happening, you're forgetting what you're doing. You don't realise what you're doing. You're just doing it before you know it. I mean, I used to, again, before I DJ, I used to promote and dance. I danced for 8 hours and then realised that the night had finished.
Because it feels awesome when you're going absolutely flat out, knackered, like just fucking crazy to the music, like when you feel in it.
Alright man, I've heard 20,000 arguments and 20,000 hours of nonsense about how to describe the Melbourne Shuffle. Alright, but to put it simply, it's a style of dance that's flatlands, done on flat grounds, where you don't allow your hands to touch the ground and is to the rhythm of the music. So it's not break dancing where you can do a willy-nilly spin even though the music's going bar, 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 or sit there and go bar, bar, bar when the music's going. It's a very designated to rhythm, to the music, and your hands should not touch the ground. Anything that you can come up with in that, that's yours. That's your canvas. Whatever you can create it.
Everyone has their own unique little flair that they'll throw in, from being, little side jumps, kicks, to running forward and back. But generally, there is a style, but everyone has a unique edge to it, which is creatively, creates a really fun thing, and something, really good for the scene.
I want to go out there and find the world's best bass beat and get me to dance.
I don't know, I suppose I used to have a go at it and do my own. Mine sort of turned into a weird pirate techno jig.
Like, I know your basic shuffle, you got your running man. So I pretty much stick to my running man and just flow with my hands.
I love pretending I'm playing basketball because you're just getting someone else involved as well by passing the ball off or whatever, and it's just fun mimicking, miming anything, not just ball sports.
I love moving very hard. Starting to get a little bit into the liquidy type moves, but I've started out dancing hard from word go, and that's how I love dancing, and that's how I get my dance style across.
It's a whole painting, you've got all the different colours there, whether you've got your running man for aggression and anger, which is your red, and you've got your brakes for your smooth blues and all your different stuff. The music's coming to you in sounds and colours and waves, and you can transfer it in any way you want. You can make it orchestral and grab the high, the mid and the low of the beat and separate that to your feet. Your feet can become the bass beat, your body rock can become the mid, and then the high fills can become hat tricks and spins and moves and anything that you can imagine. And then all of a sudden you're becoming a goddamn orchestral genius. You know, you're not just sitting there moving your feet to a two-step, you're sitting there trying to keep a whole orchestral piece together on your body like an epileptic fit going around a pole without losing any pieces of your body.
There's a lot of different shuffling styles out there. You have from your sexy shuffling with the females to very aggressive guys with their running man, to some guys that can pull off 10 to 12 spins at a time.
When I think of the Melbourne Shuffle, I think of it in its more developed, advanced form, and most people just sort of think of it in its basic form, and it's kind of can be seen as cheesy, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. I'd describe it as an organised freedom of movement. Yeah, it's good fun.
I think it's something that's commonly appreciated amongst people in the dance scene. Personally, I like an individual style, something original, shows your creativity and describes to other people just from watching you what sort of music you like and what the vibe that you can bring onto other people from that.
Oh, with dancing like Melbourne Shuffle style, sometimes I'll end up at like a commercial club, something like that. For example, I don't know, Metro or something like that. And I'll have a bit of a dance when a techno track comes on, and yeah, people just look at you like you're a freak. So yeah, I like it.
I actually find it hard to steer away from a bit more of I suppose a twisting, shuffling sort of style in my dancing now. If I go out to a normal club, because you get very used to the music and the way you dance. So yeah.
Yeah, you always try and incorporate the your shuffle style into whatever music you're trying to dance to, but.
And then you look around, you realise everyone's not dancing the same way you are, and maybe you should slow down.
Yeah. You kind of feel like a freak.
Oh, you can't explain it. You can't explain it. You got to do it, got to experience it, and then once you do, you just can't have enough of it.
It's about street, style and sense, and if you put the three of them together and then you express yourself and you don't care what you think looks gay or dainty or what looks cool and strong and masculine, if you just feel what you want to feel, people will respect that.
There's a heap of different styles out there. Like I've seen, everyone's got their own individual style, but it's sort of all the same. You can tell they're from Melbourne, you can tell they've actually learnt it from Melbourne, but they've all got their own way of moving. I just like sit there and watch dances sometime, and there's like 5 people there. You can tell they're all Melbourne shufflers, but they're all individuals as well, just doing their own moves and stuff.
Don't like the way that a lot of people do this whole fucking leggy, kicky, slidey to the left sort of stuff like that, and they all dance in unison. It's like you should make it a bit more of a personalised expression rather than, is this thing on? Like, oh cool, oh, getting all deep and shit here and like nobody's listening. It's like, give me this. Yes, well, yeah, I think it should be more of a personal expression rather than a conformed sort of style.
I'll be brutally honest here. Like, I see a lot of people just pulling off the same moves as everyone else, and like I don't really see that as an expression. I just, I like innovative. I like people being innovative. Like producers being innovative with what they write, pushing boundaries is really good. And I suppose people just dancing like everyone else isn't so good. The shuffle's good as long as it's not just the same old moves as everyone else is doing.
The encouragement's really done on the dance floor because it doesn't really matter if you know someone. Just looking at someone, big thumbs up or fucking oath, bro, really shows,
If I see someone that I think that they're dancing awesome, I'll go dance next and they're like, fucking, you're going off, man, that's all good.
People love getting complimented on how they dance, and it just makes you feel good about yourself, and you want to dance more. And
it's not one particular dance you have to do, everyone does their own thing.
It's a freedom of expression for people who don't get to go out and play their music through DJing or put on their parties through promotion. So it's definitely something that I think we're going to see continue and become even stronger in the Melbourne club scene.
Oh, I love dancing. You really express who you are and how you feel through dancing, and that's the fantastic thing. And Melbourne Shuffle, we're unique, and it's great. Everyone's in their lines, we're not interrupted, and it just looks fantastic from no matter which way you're standing.
Dancing is just a form of self-expression. I love to dance. I'm lucky I'm coordinated, but I'm not the kind of person to sit back and look at someone who might just be going like this and going, you can't dance, because when you're out there on the floor, in your zone, listening to the music, it's not about anyone else anyway. Like, it's just about the music and rocking.
Everybody's equal on the dance floor. Anyone that has that rhythm in their body should be on the dance floor showing their moves.
For me, the best thing about dancing is just being able to express yourself through the music and to let the music move you. I think it's become very much its own culture over the last few years with the Melbourne Shuffle and with Candy, but for me it's still very much about a self-expression and what the music does for you, whether it be through the Melbourne Shuffle or just through you moving your body to how the music makes you move.
I reckon it's more an expression of the music, the way it can move somebody, the way the body interprets these sounds into movements.
Yeah, we got approached from overseas to supply the Candy Shufflers, and at the time I think the most shufflers last for a year or two. Unfortunately, the footage they'd seen was about 2 years old, so we had to come up with a whole lot of new shufflers. So we come up with the idea of running a competition, and we had judges that would score people on the unique style of dancing, and we chose people that were slightly different.
I think we didn't actually have any idea how big the shuffle was in Asia until we got over there, and Scott came back with lots of feedback and they were just all blown away, and it was a big eye-opener for the shufflers as well, because they had their own stage and they were all dancing, and they were as big as any of the DJs who were over there, and some of the DJs there were in the top 25 in the world. So I think it was really humbling for our shufflers to realise how big they actually are, and they were there just dancing, and they were part of the main act. When some of the DJs were on stage, the crowd were actually facing the shufflers and turned around and they were looking at them.
We're talking about the Melbourne Shuffle, and I think the thing that sort of shocked me about it more than anything was the talcum powder. That I just couldn't understand that. That kind of blew my mind. But it's taken me a year to adjust and whatever. But I've kind of learned the Melbourne Shuffle isn't just about the talcum powder. There are actually some moves there.
You walk into a nightclub, and usually the smell of stale beer and cigarettes and all that kind of stuff wakes you up, and you go, oh yeah, I'm at home now, I know where I am. But you walk into clubs in Melbourne and you go, babies.
Johnson's.
And it's what the fuck is going on now? Where the hell are we? What are we supposed to be doing? And so it's all a little bit strange.
Dancing on a sticky floor, oh God. Very aggravating, because you go to do a side shuffle or something and you get halfway and you fall over.
Learn to shuffle, or you can become a sweaty mother cokehead, and either way, I mean, you got two choices. We took the positive outlook.
You watch them and you learn, and then you practice where you don't mind practicing, whether it's at home, whether it's somewhere not seen, and if you don't care, you practice right there and then.
What is best in life? To crush your enemies
See them driven before you, and they hear the lamentation of the women. This is what you do, you got your heart down, crack, this is what you want.
Practice. That's what I did. When I first started going out, I was crap. And yeah, I know, but still, the more you practice, the better you get, the more confidence you get, and you're not afraid of doing it in the big crowd. It's true.
And everyone helps each other, and that way everyone gets better together, and before you know it, some young little kid rips something out that's 3 times better than you, and he makes you go and practice 3 times as hard.
The way I started learning how to shuffle is I used to watch everyone else dance, and I like their moves, and what I do is I go home and I crank my music up and I'd be just there dancing, and then you really feel into your groove, and then it's like, yep, I got my stuff, I got my steps, and then you just go rip them out on the floor and everyone's like, yeah.
Watching's the key. Just basic shuffling, and then you add to it as you get more confident, you can add more styles to it. You pick up from watching other people, or they'll stand there and they'll show you, help you out. But watching is really, and in the mirror too, you watch yourself in the mirror and you're just rocking around and yeah.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of the women.
I wasn't really a dancer so much until I started going clubbing. And when I went clubbing and met other people that were dancing, you just sort of copy each other and you learn from what everyone else is doing. And back then, there wasn't really a name for it. It was just the way everyone danced around here. So you just sort of cotton on after a while and then get into it. If someone from Melbourne goes over to the UK, you just get picked up straight away within about 5 minutes, and everyone just sort of gravitates towards you and says, "G'day, how are you from Melbourne?" I bet. It's just a bit of good fun, and everyone likes to dance like that, so why not, eh?
So I went over to this guy and went, "Those bros, you're from Melbourne, are you?" And he was like, "Yeah. He was so happy.
I've met you before."
Yeah, it's just people need to not be afraid to ask a question if they want to know something of dancing. Get out there and have a go.
Wait for that one moment when it feels right, and then just take that first step. And once you start, just keep going. It's easy to keep going once you start. And the first step's usually the hardest one.
What you do.
Any sort of style of music, or any style of dancing, or any style of graffiti, it's got to start from somewhere.
It was the summer of love, you know, it was all about, it was that 80s post hippie type of mentality, you know, flower power and all that rubbish. Just people were into dancing and having a good time. Back then it was just a blend of commercial house music, underground techno, whatever. You know, things didn't go too fast. Things were around, say, 125 to 130 BPM. Some dudes would drop in like slower tracks, like, you know, just soul to soul, things like that. Just all different types of stuff. It wasn't relegated to, you know, like one certain style and one certain thumping kick drum or whatever.
In 1989 and stuff, if you went to a rave, the DJ play hip hop, house, and they were saying about a tempo. If it was the right tempo, it didn't matter what style of track it was.
Most of the plays were so-called illegal, like, you know, they were pretty small, several hundred people initially, and just in people's houses, warehouses, bars, when you could con them into it, wherever you could find the space.
The shuffle, as far as I can tell, and I used to go out a lot at the time that it sort of started and never saw it anywhere else. There was once I saw this guy called Andrew, this English guy, that used to live in Sydney, that moved to England and had just moved back to Australia and settled in Melbourne, who was a photographer.
There was a bunch of dudes from England that came out during that 89-90 period. They stayed for a whole year because they just loved the scene here and everybody was really friendly to them, and, you know, they just usually went out 5 nights a week or 6 nights a week and just partied hard.
And he was doing this dance in the corner, and me and a couple of friends were just like, what's this guy, you know? And we'd seen him a few times. We'd seen him before, but from a distance, and then we were at Commerce Club. Commerce Club was like a really underground kind of club, I guess very similar to Razor, which was a Friday night club that used to run like for the house heads, and, you know, all the Molly Meldrum used to go there, and Michael Hutchinson, Kylie Minogue and those sorts of people. It was a real kind of sceney music scene place, but all they played was house music. And Commerce Club was the exact same kind of sceney kind of place, really trendy and just like really cool and underground, but it was for electronic music. It was more house. That's where like a lot of techno stuff, rave stuff, like Terry Ho used to play there. He used to run Octave Records, and Jason Ridboy used to work there. I used to play there a little bit, Willie Tell, Ollie Olsen, like it was a really good place.
Commerce-wise, when I spun there, we used to get loads of people in, mainly because it was the only place back then that was open till 9 o'clock in the morning, where you can keep on drinking until 9 o'clock, and that was fine. That and Razor were the only two sort of like underground clubs in Melbourne. Their licensing, their whole license, their alcohol license, wasn't a proper nightclub license. They weren't actually nightclubs. They were just like a men's club, really, that, you know, had a really old, archaic drinking license dating back to the 50s and 30s.
And that's where we saw this guy Andrew, and he used to go there every Saturday night, and we saw him about the second or third weekend that he'd been in Melbourne. We saw him, and he just somehow he found out that was the place to come, and he just came there and he was just doing this crazy like dance with his feet. And back then, I mean, people used to do like the acid house kind of thing, and, you know, stand there and do all sorts of stuff, but nothing like this, you know. It was really like we were just like, fuck, what's going on here? This guy's like crazy, you know, like we couldn't believe it. And then we just walked up, started talking to him like, oh dude, you know, this is amazing, what are you doing and stuff. And then a few of us started to copy it.
When I first met Richie Rich, he was like a bussy at Chevron, the Chevron nightclub in St Kilda Road. He used to come down to Commerce all the time and just hassle the crap out of me, asking him what that tune was.
And yeah, so I just kept sort of practicing and stuff, and then a few friends of mine, we used to always sort of dance together, and as you do in your groups, and you kind of go the effort of getting dressed up before you go out together and putting on your outfits and stuff, and dancing in front of the mirror and shit like that.
I'm sure he did bust a few shuffle moves.
Everyone was still doing this acid house kind of thing and had bandanas on and whistles and smiley face t-shirts, and no one was doing this stuff, so it would have been like 89, sometime in 89. And then we started this little dance troupe thing where there was a group of us, and we started doing like little routines with the hats like they do now and all this kind of stuff, and like sort of a bit like breakdancing, is, you know, where you sort of like you're in a group and you all sort of body pop and pass the current on to each other, and then the next guy does his thing. We used to do the same kind of thing. And at the start of 1990, when Mark James and
And Paul O'Loughlin started a club called Pure, which was the first ever rave club in Melbourne, and that was at the back of the Palace. Because it went from like 300 people to all of a sudden every week like 800 kids. So over a month, there might have been 1,500 unique kids coming and getting into this style of music and this style of fashion and this kind of dancing routines and the whole package that comes with being a raver. DJ gigs, all of a sudden I had a gig every week as opposed to every 3 weeks, and Willie Tell had a gig every week, and some of us had 2 gigs a week. It was like, man, this is going off. And then, and that was pretty much, that was kind of that 1989 to 1990 explosion when it just went through the roof, and that's when I started hardware. And then basically in about 1993 was when every picture kind of found their spot and we found our spot, and that was the next big turning point when the numbers really started to grow steadily, and also I guess the scene kind of became like a really strong kind of force. And that also made the shuffle kind of explode.
The Every Picture parties, whenever they did a party, they did a party. Decor was changed every time, and that's one of the reasons why I think Every Picture is probably the best party producers in Melbourne back in the day, because they went that extra yard to just decor the whole place out and make it different every time. Crazy things like a Volkswagen Beetle covered in like glass and stuff, and like a round ping pong table, things like that. It's added extra. I mean, like, you don't expect that stuff, but when you see it and you're on drugs, and it's just a bit weird, eh?
Really raw feel came from that warehouse rave feel that UK was kind of all about. It came from the Docklands, and I guess when that kind of went away, at the end of 2000, that really was a big turning point and a big changing point for the scene. And that venue itself, I guess in that time, really is what put Melbourne on the map, like internationally, because like there was DJs all of a sudden, big DJs like Carl Cox and Sven Vath and Lauren Garnier and Richie Horton and all those types of people coming to Australia and playing at this crazy location, like on the water, views of the city. There was no development down there kind of at all at that stage, and there was just some magical events going on. They were just amazing. And that, I think that you talk to a lot of ravers now about what the scene was to them, and a lot of them will say it was like that Shed 14 kind of era. Nothing has come close to that.
It was just different back in the day because of the fact that, nothing else was like that in Melbourne. And so people just wanted to go and do something different.
And then I went downstairs because I heard the techno music going, oh yeah, and all these people were going off, and I was like, couldn't figure it out, but it was definitely different. And I was like, okay, and I just accepted it for that. And then it was only when I went to Excessive that I realised these guys are doing something different, and I went, hey, I'd like to do that.
I first saw the shuffle in about 96, 97 when I was hitting a lot of clubs, and a lot of guys did it, and it was a really interesting dance, but I wasn't into it. I was more an R&B boy, and that's where the girls were at. And so that's where I was at. I was a young fella, and then as I got more into my dancing and not going out to score or get pissed and throw up, actually go out and have a good time and socialise, I started to get into the dancing. And in about 2001, it went from being a real simple two-step to lots of guys throwing in lots of things, lots of innovations, skateboarders using the hat in a weird way, snowboarders learning how to spin on an axis, just all these different guys from all these different extreme sports came in and just started throwing up crap. And so all of a sudden I got interested in it.
When I first started, it was difficult to dance in front of heaps of people. I thought they were all looking and like bagging me and stuff, but now you just don't care. You dance in front of anyone and you just do whatever you want.
I started dancing back when I was about 17, getting into the shuffle because I saw some guy do it for the first time in a club. And it just looked really cool, and I'm like, look, one day I want to do that. So I started going home and put on a bit of beach ball, people, get ready to floor, and I started, busting my moves and shit. And 3 years later, rocking it still.
10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I first started working in nightclubs as a bouncer, you'd mainly just see girls on the dance floor, not many guys. It's turned around now. You can't keep the guys off.
Shuffling is definitely a majority of men, but I say to the women now, get out there and give it to them because, we're just as good as what they are. Everybody's equal in the rave scene.
first time you'd ever catch me on a dance floor, like, it was just the ultimate feeling, because I'd never go near a dance floor. I get on and suddenly this fucking rushing feeling, you're just rocking it up, you're like, all right, you don't care what everyone's looking at you, you're just like, yeah, fucking let's rock.
The concept of the shuffle, or the ability to do the double timing, or to hit the beat on the hat as well as the bass drum, and to use your body weight shifting forward or backwards or left and right to guide where your feet are going to go. And when you start getting that level, then you're free. It's a bit like a DJ finally getting able to get his records in. He can then start trying to use his mixer properly, to its fullest effect. And it's like that with the shuffle dance. It frees you right up. And the more you learn about your body during the dance and the way you move and how it affects your dancing, the better you get.
I first saw the shuffle at the God Easter party, and I didn't really know what was going on. I just saw this great style of dance, and I'm like, wow, what's that? And I just wanted to try it. So I started off not very good, I didn't know what I was doing. And then over time, went to other parties, got better, and I do more of like the Running Man kind of style.
Saw the Melbourne Shuffle for the first time at the Greenwood Hotel in North Sydney. And I remember thinking at the time, what is this? What are these people doing? It looked really interesting though, and I thought to myself, it must be a private dance company or something, because there were about 4 or 5 people just on the dance floor, and people were just in a big circle watching them. I thought, they must be professionals. But then I started to see it more and more. And I asked somebody about it, and they said, that's the Melbourne Shuffle. And I said, well, what is it doing in Sydney? And they told me that it's actually known around the world.
Well, the same reason fucking everyone's out here in the middle of the bush this morning. Fucking have a look at them. It's like, it's got their own thing happening. All they're trying to do is just get away from all the fuckheads in the world and come and enjoy themselves. And that's produced something original, which has come through Australia in the sense that everyone knows fucking Melbourne rocks the show. And when you look at it from an international point of view, it's simple in the sense that Australia's now to the stage where fucking we should be taking a bit of pride in it. It's as simple as that.
first saw the Melbourne Shuffle probably before it had that designation, and I reckon the first time I saw people dancing like that was around 1992, 1993, which was coincided with when I started going out to parties, I guess. And I also remember it was around the time Prodigy's first album came out. I remember Leroy from Prodigy dancing in various of their film clips, just with this out of control style where his legs are just rubber and, you know, gliding across the floor and just going, now I'm seeing something. And then around that time, sort of going out and seeing different dancers who just had something else going on. They were just riding clouds out there.
It was just mad, this guy dancing like a demon.
Has my dancing influenced the Melbourne Shuffle? No, I wouldn't say it has. Like I said before, we've all got 2 arms and 2 legs. There's only certain things you can do with it. And I was inspired by James Brown, and so he's to blame for the Melbourne Shuffle. No, like I say, there's only certain things you can do with your body. Yeah.
It's almost like a kind of speeded up breakdance, kind of like the way, who is it, like kind of Prodigy and all that, like that really like breakdancey thing.
That's
like,
as far as we've got.
That's as far as we got, but like kind
we're
of
learning
like
the finger
like
movements at the moment.
But I think mainly my personal influence in dancing comes from Michael Jackson, actually. Just the moonwalking, you know, moving head side to side, just that funky feeling and the vibe. That's what gets me.
Got a bit of a background in extreme sports. Used to love riding BMX, stuff like that. Did a bit of breakdancing. I was full into that for a while. But after a while, you get sick of rolling around on the ground. So I'd rather dance upright.
They're individual, like, but they're freestyling at the same time with their dance, as in, like, they're making it up on the spot and things like that.
You know, I've never been trained to dance or enough. I just freestyle it really and just do what felt good.
Freestyle, yeah, just fucking go with whatever. Don't look and go, hey, that guy's kicking left, I'm going to kick left because he looks cool and he's wearing fluoro zinc. It's Winco.
I think the harder and faster it is, the harder it is to shuffle. I think the bouncier it is, the friendlier it is.
One of the first comments that we get from any of our internationals as they get off the plane is that they want to see the Melbourne Shuffle, and they've all heard so much about it. And if you go over to the UK and anyone from Melbourne dances over there, the first thing that gets noticed is the fact that they're shuffling and that they are from Melbourne. And it's quite a novelty for an international to come over and to watch 1,000 people all dancing the same in a completely different style to how they would dance in the UK. So it's definitely become something in itself for people to come out. They don't not only want to see the club and to see how the Melbourne scene works, but the first thing that they want to see is the Melbourne Shuffle.
In London, the Melbourne Shuffle is a bit of an enigma. It's something that I think a lot of Melbourneites have brought over the years to places like Frantic, and it'll probably be going longer than it is here. They'll probably still be doing it in 20 years' time.
Now that the Melbourne Shuffle's so internationally recognised, I think that the more people do it and the more people recognise it, it could just explode and become a huge thing across the world.
Melbourne Shuffle's only going to get stronger, as we've seen in the last few months with Hard Candy's involvement, sending 8 shufflers to Kuala Lumpur and a few other people looking at doing some shuffle events. That the Melbourne Shuffle is definitely stamped itself as a major part of the club scene, and I don't think we would be able to progress without it.
Techno is very much a stomp on the beat. That's the secret, guys. It's stomp on the beat music, and it's a very earthy type of music because of it, which is why outdoor parties work so well. If you look at African cultures, you'll find that all the African dancing styles, they smash their feet against the dirt on the beat. There's a lot of European, like Morris dancing or ballet, they jump up in the air, you know. There are different theories about, you know, Western cultures have gods in the sky, therefore people jump up, and earthy cultures who, you know, worship Mother Earth or whatever, they'll stomp on the ground. You know, perhaps that's where it all comes from, I'm not sure.
You know, Melbourne has gone through so many changes of music in the last 10, 12 years since I've been here anyway.
Well, there's 3 bastions of dance music, effectively. You know, house in its conventional sense is east coast of the USA, i.e. New York and so on, Chicago and Detroit. And then, you know, hard dance, hard trance, you know, is pioneered, as well as things like drum and bass and breakbeat in the UK. And then more conventional sort of trance, you know, in its purest form is you know, out of Germany. And in Australia, well, we're externally influenced by all these things because effectively, you know, we haven't substantiated our own sound as such. And I suppose it speaks to reason that good productions from this country should be influenced by all those that I've listed above.
I've always been into dancing and dance music, really, whether it was reggae or, you know, when I was growing up, I was into sort of mod music, the mod movement, which was Northern Soul, and it was about going out at parties, house parties or whatever, and having a dance. It wasn't about anything else, really. It was just about the music.
People have just got to accept that there is a dance community, and then there is a drug community, and then there is a music community. If you put the 3 of them together, you have what makes up the rave community. But that does not mean that DJs are down for the goddamn drug dealers and that drug dealers like the dancers. Hey man, there's no way we all get along. But it all makes the atmosphere that is the rave scene.
As much as this scene is very different to rock and roll and stuff, and it's a lot more, people are a lot more on the same level. When you actually get down to it, they're not. When you go to like a gig, like a pharmacy, like I was at on Friday, for instance, like there is, although everyone's equal and whatever, there is like the hardcore dudes that have really well dressed for the event and they've got all the moves and stuff, and they're kind of at the top of the pack, and then you've got like the newbies down the bottom, you know, like the new kids that have just started to get into it, and they're sort of got the basic moves down pat and the fashion and stuff. Like, it is kind of like an ordered society, although the rave scene predominantly one of my biggest arguments with people when doing interviews is what's so special about it. It's like, well, you go to a dance party and everyone is equal. That's how it used to be. I reckon that I've noticed a lot in the last couple of years. There is an ordered kind of structure. There's the, you know, there is. It's a bit sceney. Yeah, there is a hierarchy, definitely. Like in the techno scene, in the trance scene, in the club scene, in the electro scene. It's not as we are one anymore as how it used to be. And I guess that just comes with attitude. Like kids and people that go out get this attitude, and they go out and they kind of, you know, they just, because they've been going out for 3 years longer than somebody else, they're old school.
It's new, fresh kids coming out of school every single year, 18, they hit the clubs and they get sucked into the rave scene, and then they love it and they say, this is my life. And they either spend 3 months, go hard and get washed up and goodbye, or they get a reputation, they become a part of the scene and they stick around for a couple of years until they find something out, take from the scene what they want, or just vanish off into the distance. The ravers aren't just white Aussies who have a criminal tendency, they're actually every single race and every single kind of being you can imagine.
We're more than just, you know, ravers, we're almost a race. Because there is no barrier of race or creed or whatever. There's none of that.
You do whatever you like. Yeah. If you want to, you know, run around like an idiot, you can. If you want to sit there and mellow out on your own, you can. If you want to dance, you can.
The thing about this music and this culture is that everybody of all genres, colour, creed, race, whatever, like everybody gets into it. There's no racial barriers, there's no, you know, like people that look down upon people for dancing in that way.
In the daytime I wear a suit and everything like that, and nighttime, you know, got all these things happening. I feel like a Batman, you know, at nighttime, just change my image, go out, have fun, meet all these crazy fun people, because that's what it's about, yo, that's all it's about.
I reckon a good party is anything with music and a mad dance floor. I love dancing. I always judge my night on how my dance was. If it's packed and I didn't have a good dance, then it wasn't as a good night.
I can go out anywhere, there can be no one on the dance floor, and if the music's good, I'll just dance all by myself all night.
Yeah, like I could have a good time here with the stereo, just pumping and having a dance, really.
I can't just sit there in the club and not shuffle because it would just be so boring. If I hear a good song and I'm sitting down, it's just a waste. Just a waste of a song.
I couldn't imagine a party without the shuffle, the dance, you know. It wouldn't be the same.
Having fun, party with friends and meeting people, chatting, dancing. That's the most important thing you want to go out. Yeah.
Dance makes it party.
For me, it's just about having fun, mate. Like getting into the music, no matter how you dance, it doesn't bother me. Like as I was saying to you earlier, I'm one that just sort of stands there and stomps and don't have much of an action to the way I dance. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. But I know some of the other dancing styles are pretty cool to watch. Like some people get right into it. Yeah. I remember going camping years ago with a good friend of mine, and there's this one guy there. He was right into raving and stuff, and all weekend he was practicing these dance moves and stuff, and he had names for them and everything, you know what I mean? Like, it really spun me out, but like, he was zoned into it, like, doing all these little moves or whatever, and bringing up these names for him and all of that, and I was just having a laugh. I was like, yeah, I thought it was cool, whatever. Yeah. See what you're gonna do.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm your DJ.
I don't reckon anyone should compete in rave dancing. Rave, the word for one means many people. Rave dancing should be a group, you know. I don't want a finger to be point on the best. I don't want a finger point on the worst, because everyone has equal space on that dance floor, no matter if you're good, if you're bad, because who's really saying if you're good or bad? If you're out there having fun, that's what matters. Fucking winning shit wouldn't take that from it.
I guess the main thing about it is that, you know, it's for fun. You know, a lot of people take it really seriously and get really caught up in the whole scene side of things, and you know, that's fine too. But just remember, it's entertainment. It's fun. You know, it's a great thing to do, really. And you know, if you're interested and you know, in some way, like you're a musician or you want to be a DJ or something, well, yeah, that's all possible too. But the main thing is that it's, you know, this is for fun and not to. Some people take it too far.
I think if you're looking for something different and something cool, if you're just sick of the same shit that they serve out at the local pub with all the rest of the beer drinking creams, like, yeah, come out and actually have some fun, enjoy life. It's not, it's just, it's not all bad. It's not all, it's not all about drugs and all this sort of stuff that goes on in the scene. But it's just about people having a good time and enjoying music.
For me, it's about going out and dancing and just enjoying life.
I'd definitely recommend people to adventure the unknown. You'll never know what you'll find there. It's best atmosphere and some really great people out there to meet.
Not always about the drugs, like these big events, people go and OD on G and shit. They don't know how to have fun.
Don't get bogged down with accessories, because the music's there and you've got your body and all you need to do is dance. Don't eat yellow snow. Always remember to leash your camel. And don't do too many drugs. I'm not going to stop you experimenting with drugs. I'm not a politician. I can't stop you doing what you're going to do it. But have fun and don't abuse it. If you abuse anything, it'll up.
I think the reason people get too obsessed with raves and write themselves off a little is because they're desperately seeking for identity. And whereas they might find some of it within the rave and dance scene, it's not a means to an end. I think any good life has a wide variety of interests within it, and you'd be a fool to think all your answers were on the dance floor.
I'd recommend that anyone with an open mind could attend a rave or a dance party and get a lot out of it. I think that's important. I think if you've got a closed mind and have already had your mind made up by a current affair or today, tonight, then I don't think there's much point you going. But if you're open to something culturally different, I think you can get something out of it for sure.
I guess it was also part of the style of what we tried to do with our events. They're very free. Like, you can wear whatever you want, do pretty much whatever you want, as long as you didn't hassle other people and stuff like that. And that kind of freedom, I mean, that's really good for everyone. And it's one of the big problems that just in the world now, there's not too many real freedoms.
So the majority of them don't really know. They're there because they dance. It's a party. Some of them are there because it's an excuse to take drugs and get off their heads. But others that have worked out what it's all about are there to soak up the frequencies. It's all about frequencies. It's all about the feeling of oneness that you get with the crowd, with everybody on the same wavelength, dancing to the same tune, feeling that lift, hands in the air, the rise, the frequency wave. And everybody's riding the frequency wave. And when they come up, everybody's there together with them. And it's a feeling of unison.
One of the things I've sort of noticed about it, sometimes I wonder whether the music becomes more of a timing reference for people to do an aerobic workout rather than to actually latch in and to feel, the greater sort of undercurrent of what the party's about.
I think it's got a tribal element to it, yes. I think there's tribal elements to it. It's a bit more of a soul to it. That's what I don't like when you see all those people that just conform to a dance style. Like, it's not a form of self-expression, so there's no heart or soul or feel to it. It's just somebody doing pretty moves and looking flash. I don't like it. I like people that just rock out and just go flat at knacker and you can see them rocking out and you're just like, I can respect that because you're just giving it everything and it's just wicked.
And there'll always be people for whom it maintains a deeper spiritual component, if you like. But then, of course, like anything, once anything becomes popularised or commercialised, then there's always going to be people who take it on face value or on a superficial level, and that's the only level they'll be able to actually understand it on. I would encourage people to keep digging once they get involved, because it goes beyond the surface.
get the fuck out. If you don't like it, get the fuck out.